One day in the park, Chucky breaks down into tears when he climbs onto the first step of the slide at the park. Later, Tommy asks Chucky why he cried, because Chucky loves the slide. Chucky explains that recently his dad took him to Pizza Puppet Place. In the play area, Chucky made his way through the ball pit to the steps of the slide, or so he thought. After a long climb, Chucky realized he was at the top of the big slide, which in Chucky's imagination is absurdly high, which almost reached the ceiling. At the top, some big kids crowded behind Chucky and told him to hurry up and go. In response, Chucky broke down crying. Tommy points out to Chucky that it was the big kids' slide, not his slide, that scared him, so he should still be able to enjoy the regular slide. Chucky says it doesn't matter. He fears all slides now. Angelica, who's overheard the story, laughs at Chucky and calls him a scaredy cat. Susie, who is also nearby, tells Angelica to knock it off and promises Chucky she'll help him get over his fear. As after Susie has Chucky climb steps and ride in a wagon, she declares Chucky ready for the slide again. At the park, Chucky slowly and nervously climbs up the steps of the slide, repeating to himself that he's a big brave dog, something Susie taught him. Angelica calls Chucky a scaredy cat and bets 2 popsicles with Susie that Chucky won't be able to do it. Susie insists he can do it, and she, Tommy, and the twins encourage Chucky from below. Chucky finally reaches the top of the slide and goes down it. He screams the entire way down, but after he's reached the bottom, Chucky is happy because he remembered how much fun the slide is. Everyone is happy for Chucky, except for Angelica, who now owes Susie 2 popsicles. Chucky now cheerfully slides the slide over and over again. At the Pickles house, Stu and Howard are at the kitchen table, talking and having coffee. Tommy is also under the table and gets a hold of one of the slippers that his father is wearing. He proceeds to dip it in Spike's water dish. Dee Dee and Betty come in through the double doors in the kitchen and tell Stu and Howard that, on their way back from the aerobics class, they saw a notice for swimming lessons. Howard states that they already know how to swim, but also remarks, well, except for Stu. Stu, however, rebuttals Howard's remark and states that he's a great swimmer. Howard reminds Stu of a time he choked on the high dive, which Stu denies ever happened. Dee Dee stops Stu and Howard and states that they were talking about swimming lessons for the babies. As Stu confirms that's a good idea and states that Tommy will be an excellent swimmer, he puts on his new soggy slipper that Tommy got wet, and this causes him to panic. Ah! It's wet! It's cold! And dash off. Tommy, Chucky, Phil, Lil, and their parents, Stu, Dee Dee, Howard, Betty, and Chaz, arrive at the swimming center where the baby swimming lessons is to take place. As they enter a pool, Stu remarks to Chaz that the place brings back memories, and Chaz replies, yeah, like the time you froze on the high diving board. They had to call the fire department to get you down. Stu, not wanting to talk about it, tells Chaz to can it. Then Phil wonders why they are wearing these funny pillows, or in other words, life jackets, and Phil wonders where they are. Tommy says that he doesn't know, but comments that it smells funny. Lilith ponders that perhaps they're at a kitchen, as her parents' kitchen smells funny. Phil denies this as there aren't any big clouds of smoke. Lil then ponders that perhaps they're at a basement, but Tommy denies this as he doesn't see any old junk. Chucky then ponders they are at a bathroom, but just as Tommy questions this by pointing out there needs to be a potty, the group arrives at the actual swimming pool, and the babies interpret the pool to be a potty. Tommy tells Chucky he was right and that they are in the biggest bathroom in the whole world. The adults then take the babies out of their strollers, and Chucky, who's not using one, and take them to another smaller kiddie pool where their lessons will take place. At the babies' lessons, Howard, Betty, Dee Dee, and Chaz, holding respectively Lil, Phil, Tommy, and Chucky, and standing in the shallow kiddie pool with their instructor, who briefs the parents and their children in a calm and gentle voice. The water is your friend, the water is your pal, the water won't hurt you if you treat it with respect. Betty comments to Dee Dee that the instructor might have inhaled a little too much chlorine. The instructor has the parents hold their babies close to the water so they can meet it, and then has their parents slowly and briefly dip the babies into the water and then pull them out, repeating 6 times. The babies, however, don't like it and struggle to avoid it to no avail. Dee Dee comments to Betty that what they're doing doesn't seem very nice. The instructor then tells the parents to let their babies blow some bubbles so they can become more friendly with the water. Chaz briefly dunks Chuckie completely underwater. He briefly chokes on the water and accidentally swallows him and pulls him out. Chuckie coughs and gasps for breath, and the instructor comes over and remarks, "Maybe that was a little too friendly." The lesson ends and the adults take the babies to the pool nursery so they can head to the main pool and swim themselves. On their way, Betty remarks that the lesson was fun, and Chaz remarks that he isn't sure, as Chuckie didn't seem to like it. Just after the babies are dropped off, Chuckie remarks to Phil and Lil that the water they were dipped in tasted horrible. Tommy replies, "Of course it tasted bad, Chuckie. It was potty water." Chuckie goes on to remark that they should flush it once in a while, and Tommy replies that it would be neat to flush a giant potty. Phil and Lil agree that it would be fun, but Chuckie tries to talk everyone else out of it and points out that they don't know where the flusher is, and the people in the giant potty will get flushed too. Tommy assures Chuckie that they will find the flusher somewhere and that people shouldn't be swimming in the potty in the first place. Chuckie's forced to follow along. Well, can't say I didn't try. As the babies escape from the nursery and start on their way, Betty comes out of the pool and sits next to Dee Dee on the edge and suggests they go to the sauna. But Dee Dee suggests she stay and gives a moral support to her husband as he's practicing his diving on the low diving board. Stu jumps off the diving board but chokes up and screams midair and splashes water on Dee Dee and Betty as he hits the water flat on his stomach. Dee Dee then agrees to the sauna. Babies enter an exercise room searching for the flusher that flushes the giant potty. Chuckie is skeptical. They pull levers on the exercise equipment everyone is using, and this causes trouble for everyone, although they didn't notice the babies are causing it. Stu dives off the low diving board backwards and lands in the water. Chaz remarks to Howard that perhaps they should stop him, and then asks the coughing Stu if he's okay. Stu replies that he's fine and believes that he's ready to try the high dive, knowing what's about to happen. Chaz and Howard look at each other and say, "Uh-oh." Meanwhile, Betty and Dee Dee arrive at the sauna, marked steam room, although a sauna and a steam room are not the same thing. Betty assures Dee Dee that she'll love it, but Dee Dee warns that she must come out after 5 minutes to avoid getting wrinkled. Just after Dee Dee and Betty get in the sauna and close the door, the babies come, still looking for the flusher. Lil notices a lever on the floor, which actually controls the temperature of the sauna, is positioned in a way that will block the sauna's door and if set all the way to hot, and pushes it all the way to hot. It of course doesn't flush the giant potty. Chuckie begins to think they're all lost forever. Tommy asks Chuckie if he ever got the babies lost forever, and Chuckie recalls examples from the past. The babies then walk away as Chuckie continues to bring up examples of Tommy getting everyone lost. Just as they are out of sight, the trapped Dee Dee and Betty bang on the sauna door, which is blocked by the lever Phil pushed, and hollering for someone to let them out. Back at the pool, Howard and Chaz are trying to talk Stu out of his attempt at off the high diving board as he makes his way toward it, but Stu brushes them aside, tells him to stop worrying, and assures him he'll be fine. Stu then begins to climb the high dive's ladder. Meanwhile, the babies are walking around, and Chuckie is still giving examples of when Tommy got everyone lost. Well, Tommy manages to find the entrance to the main pool. The giant potty. Lil comments that Tommy sure knows his way around the world, and Tommy leads everyone toward the pool. Back on Stu, he's still climbing the ladder and starts to notice that he's getting rather high up and feeling a little woozy. Stu, however, makes it to the high diving board, but screams in fright as soon as he looks down and freezes up. Everyone turns their attention to Stu, concerned. Chaz says to Howard he can't watch as the whole thing is making him nauseous, and Howard replies that he can't just abandon Stu as he's their best friend. A lifeguard comes over and asks them both if they know that crazy man. They both reply, no. Meanwhile, the babies are relieved to have finally found the giant potty, but Chuckie impatiently asks where the flusher is. Tommy notices the low diving board, and he and the rest agree that it is the flusher they are looking for. The lifeguard climbs to the top of the high dive and tries to calm down a scared stiff Stu. He suggests he and Stu climb down together. Stu agrees and begins to turn around really slowly, but he slips and falls on his stomach, and all the other patrons looking onward from below gasp in fright. Meanwhile, the babies make their way over to the low diving board, and Tommy, Phil, and Lil climb on it, and where they're putting themselves in danger. Chuckie asks Tommy what he's doing, and Tommy replies, how else are you going to push a flusher this big? Chuckie sighs nervously and then climbs on with everyone else, and they all make their way to the other end of the diving board. Back on top of the high dive, the still frightened Stu orders the lifeguard to get back. Lifeguard tells Stu not to do anything crazy as they are not insured. Stu orders the lifeguard not to touch him, claiming, "'Cause if you do, I might just do it. I might just." The patrons both then start chanting, "Jump, jump, jump, jump." Stu then looks down at the low diving board notices that the babies are on it and have put themselves in danger of falling in the pool. Oh no, Tommy! The lifeguard sees the babies and shouts below, "Doc, kids on the low dive, get off, get him off." Tommy tells everyone that they need to jiggle the handle. Chuckie asks how, and Tommy orders everyone to jump up and down. Chuckie says, "But Tommy," unknowingly putting themselves in greater danger, realizing that his only son will fall in the pool and risk drowning otherwise. Stu faces his fear and dives to get down quickly to save his son from possible death. Both Howard and Chaz say, "Wow," as Stu dives impressively. Tommy is flung off the low diving board and heads straight for the water, but Stu arrives just in time and catches his son before he can fall in and drown. They both emerge unharmed, and the crowd cheers for the redeemed and heroic Stu Pickles and his son, Tommy Pickles. Chuckie, Phil, and Lil have all stopped jumping, sigh in relief that Tommy has been rescued, and all as Stu and Tommy embrace each other and smile at each other. Stu, Howard, and Chaz and the babies make their way through the hallway. Howard and Chaz congratulate Stu on his impressive dive. They come to the sauna, and Stu suggests a quick sauna before they all go home. Stu notices the lever is blocking the door and pulls it back so he can open it. The door opens and Betty and Dee Dee emerge, overheated and dehydrated and barely able to stand. Dee Dee is too dizzy to speak, but Betty asks desperately for the water before she and Dee Dee collapse.